I can't say anything without giving it away. You need to be taller, or my posture is going to be bad. I don't know what to do to make you taller. I don't think you can sit there though. You can. Guys, I'm so white. Jeez. Hi guys. That was the most boring way of saying hi ever. Hello. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Amanda if you're new here. If you're not new here, welcome back. You guys know the drill. I have a bunch of books in my lap. I don't really know why I put them in my lap, to be honest. But today we're talking about books that I've been reading, books that I've seen on TikTok, that I've seen them on TikTok, or like other people have seen them on TikTok. These are the ones I've currently read, and then we're just gonna kind of discuss them. If you're here, you've probably read one or two of these. If you haven't read any of these, you should, and I will tell you which ones you should read. Yeah, we're just gonna jump right in. I like to thrift my books. I understand wanting to pay an author an appropriate amount for the book, but I'm like, I cannot afford $20 books every time I buy a book. That's so expensive for my wallet. So I try to thrift as much as I can, but some of these books I bought new, especially if I really like the author, I'll like pre-order them before they come out, or I'll buy it in the bookstore when I see it. We're gonna start off with probably the most popular book you've seen on BookTok, on anywhere really. It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I started this, and if I like a book, I usually will finish it within like 3 days. I'll just kind of like devour it if I really like it. If I just like sort of like it, it'll take me, I mean, an average amount of time to read it. I guess average is subjective because it's different for everyone, but obviously it'll take me longer. If I really like a book, I'll kind of like stop everything I'm doing and finish the book. Like I won't really get anything else done because I'll read the book. Everyone I know who's read this has liked it. It was very devastating, but very good. I'm gonna give a little synopsis of each book. Like, I'm not gonna give spoilers, but if you don't want to know what any of the books are about, just skip ahead like 15, maybe 30 seconds. Ends With Us is about a girl and a guy who fall in love. It kind of goes back and forth between like current day of them falling in love and like her in high school with her first love. And her current love is everything she wants in a partner except for a few things, and those few things kind of way out. It becomes like the main storyline, and there's issues with it, and then like the younger lover comes in, and that was the worst description I could ever give of this book, but very realistic, very inspiring, should I say. It taught me a lot. So It Ends With Us, great book. We Were Liars. It's called We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. I don't know what Lockhart's first name is. It just says E everywhere you look. Honestly, I liked this book, but I don't remember. Oh yeah, oh, this is like a good like thriller. I remember what it was about. It's about like these 3 kids. They're like all cousins, or in some way or another they're like related, and every summer they would go to this island, not island, but like this place in America. It was like their summer home type of thing, and they had like really rich parents and grandparents and stuff. And then something happened to the main girl, and she doesn't know what happened, and she spent a long time trying to figure out what happened, and then in the end you finally figured it out. And I just remember like throwing the book and being like, oh! So good if you like mysteries, things like that. It's also fun because you're trying to figure out what it is throughout the whole book, and I love books where you don't know what it is before it ends. So that was really nice about that, was I did not guess it, even though I tried to guess it, and I'm usually pretty good at it because I've read so many freaking horror books. Leads me to this one, The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley, because this is also the genre of like horror, creepy, murder mystery type. It is a murder mystery. There's like a bunch of different people in this book, and they're all on a reunion together. They all go on vacation to like Scotland, and one of them dies. You know that from the first page that someone dies, and throughout the entire story you're learning about the different people, like the different characters and so on and so forth, and you eventually find out who did it, why, so on and so forth. I remember not really loving the ending. You don't find out who dies until way later, like who it is specifically, and I knew who it was who was gonna die pretty easy on. Semi-predictable, that's all I'm really trying to say here. I'm going on a rant, but semi-predictable. But I do like Lucy Foley. Her other famous book is The Guest List. I read this really quickly, but I do remember not liking the jumps back and forth between different people, because I was just like, some of these people are relevant and I do not care about their views. But it did obviously push the story along, but I didn't care about some of them because I didn't like them. Wouldn't read it again. Actually, there's a lot of things I wouldn't read again, but this is something I would read again. Wow, great segue. I didn't even plan that. Okay, this book is called In 5 Years by Rebecca, I don't know how to say her last name, Rebecca Searle. This book just looks like your average book. It's really small. I was like, oh, light read. And for the most part, it is a light read, but it really like, it really got me, should I say, at a certain point in the book, because you think it's about one thing and then it changes altogether and it's about another thing. And I recommended this to so many of my friends, and one of my friends read it and she was like, this was so good, you know. I was like crying on the plane, trying to keep composure, but she couldn't, understandably, same as me. Thank God I was like in my bed when I was reading this part, because if I was at work or on the train or something and I read this part, it would not have been pretty. Wouldn't be the first time I've done that, but would not have been pretty. I don't really want to give you a synopsis without giving it away, but I'm like trying to read what I can say and what I can't say. So it's about these like two friends. They live in New York City, and one of them is very practical, very numbery. The other one, she travels whenever she wants. She has like boyfriends abroad and dates whoever. And it's about like their friendship, and also it's about the first girl, like the analytical one. She has a boyfriend and they're very serious and they've been dating for a long time, and she's waiting for him to propose and so on and so forth. And it's about how you think your future might plan out and it might be completely different in a year or in 5 years. That's literally the name of the book. So without giving too much away, game changer. Sally Rooney. A lot of people don't like Sally Rooney. She's the author of Normal People and Conversations with Friends. Those are her two first books. This is her third book. It's called Beautiful World, Where Are You? Also, there's a piece missing because I read it at work and a puppy dog ate a bite of it. I read this during like Christmas, so I don't even remember what all of it is about. Sally Rooney is an author who writes specifically about everyday life. Like, she's not the kind of author who will write about, you know, all these amazing things happening and so on and so forth. Like, she's very like conversational in her books. It just kind of gives you like an insight into someone else's world, someone else's thinking. Certain books really aren't for everyone. I know a lot of friends who like the same books as me don't like her as an author, but I personally, I'm a fan of that. I pre-ordered this book knowing that that's the kind of, you know, writer she is, and I was expecting it. But this is my least favorite of her three, actually. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm looking up there because that's where my other two books from her are. And I loved Normal People, I loved Conversation with Friends, but this one was also, it was nice, but it was not her best. I don't even remember what it was about, so let's see. Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you, I just read the like little blurb on the front cover about what it's about, and I don't really remember like any of this, but I do remember it being like, it was good, it wasn't great, it was just meh. I think I still rated it like 4 or 5 stars though, which is, I don't know. It wasn't impressionable, clearly. Gillian Flynn, Sharp Objects. This is the author of Gone Girl, so you know this was gonna be a good piece already. It's obviously horror, so if you don't like horror, don't read this. This is also a show on HBO Max. I found the show before I even read the book, but I didn't watch the show until after I read the book. Like, I forgot about it, and then I read the book and I was like, oh yeah, it has a show. And I watched the show. Show's whack. Everyone says that after they read a book. Movie's whack, show's whack, but show's whack. This book has really good twists in it, and the show did not do that really well, in my opinion. So this book is about a journalist in like Chicago. Her boss sends her down to her hometown. It's like the middle of nowhere, and he tells her to write a piece about these 2 murders that happened in her town. And she's like living with her mom and her stepdad and her younger stepsister. She's uncovering these murders where she knows all these people and all the things that have happened, and she pieces it all together, and that's this book. Like I said earlier, I really like books where I can't figure out who did what or why and the motive and things like that, and that absolutely happened in this book. So I was taken back because I couldn't guess it. So read that too. Okay, let's see. I don't even know where to go next. People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I got this book for Christmas, but I didn't read it until I think March. Emily Henry wrote Beach Read, and I really liked that. I read it really quickly, and then I knew that I had to read People We Meet on Vacation. It is very much a simple love story kind of book. You know, you really have to know that going in or you're gonna be disappointed. Like, she's gonna end up with a guy and blah blah blah, and that's always how she writes. But it's beautiful the way she writes these characters, and just like the love story and all of the different aspects. It's about these 2 people who are not in a relationship. They're best friends, but they go on a vacation every year, and then one year, I think it was in Croatia, something happened and you don't know what it is, and they haven't been on vacation in a couple of years because of it, and they kind of just like dissolved out of each other's lives altogether. But then when they start to go on a trip again, and that's the back and forth. You find like past, present, kind of every other chapter, which is great because you can usually guess what's gonna happen, but she writes it really beautifully. So this is a really good book. It's a really good beach read. Like, I know her first story was called Beach Read, but a lot of her books are beach read style. This is a good one, and it's pretty long, 361 pages. Also, I like this because on top of it just kind of being like a love story, you also learn a lot about different places that they travel to, which is really cool. I mean, I love that. So yes, good read. I'm gonna talk about the book that I'm reading now. It's called The Unbearable Lightness of Being. It's very different from the rest of them. It's kind of like the kind of book where sometimes you have to read the paragraph like once or twice to be like, wait, what did they say? But in between those lines, like when you read between the lines, it's a beautiful love story between all of these different characters. And it takes place a long time ago. I think it was even written a long time ago, actually. It takes place in Prague for the most part, and Switzerland, and kind of like back and forth, and how like Russia invaded Prague and so on and so forth, and like the lives that it affected and how they affected people's careers and so on and so forth. It's just, it makes you think a lot in a good way. I don't want you to be like, oh god, I'm not reading that, like existential. Not at all. It just makes you kind of look at things differently, which is I really like. It was published in 1984. I mean, it's a timeless book, so if you're feeling up to something new and challenging, this is the one. I saved my favorite 2 recent reads for last. They kind of left a mark on me in ways that I didn't think they were going to. So the first one out of the last 2 is The Girl He Used to Know by Tracy Garbus Graves. The only reason I got this book is because it was like buy 3, get a 4th one for $5 or something. I got this one for like $5. It's originally 17. And I was like, oh, whatever, I'll read it. It, you know, looks pretty good. Guys, like I was at soccer. You could ask Olivia or anyone on my team. I was like at my soccer game and I was like, I'm almost done. I'm almost done. I was really stressing because I really wanted to finish this book. It was very emotional. I was like trying not to cry on the train. Let me see what I can give away, what I can't give away. Okay, so there's a girl named Annika. She is very new to this, I think it's University of Illinois. Yeah, she kind of has social anxiety, but to the max. Like not the kind of social anxiety that you would say I have, you would say like you have. She doesn't pick up on social cues. She doesn't understand when people say things like sarcastic things like that. And so when she started university, she was really nervous and she really just kind of like stuck to the library and chess group and so on and so forth. And then this guy in her chess group joined and started playing with her and she really didn't like it. She doesn't like change, she didn't like that. And they got to know each other. He became her first love. I'm not giving anything away. This is all part of the book, like the synopsis. In the book, there's a 10 years ago and present time. And it goes back and forth of like how their relationship was. And then she runs into him 10 years later. And it's like, well, are we gonna talk about the thing that happened? So you know that something happened that they haven't spoken in a certain amount of time, but you don't know what it is or why it is. And she's just a very interesting human to read about. And the way Tracy Garbus Graves wrote this was really beautiful, really nice. You know, you fall in love with this couple and then you get to the end and they throw in a lovely little surprise and it butchered me. Like, it was rough. I knew it was coming because they give you all of the plot points for it, but it also comes out of nowhere. So you can predict it, but it also comes out of nowhere. I can't say anything without giving it away. It was really hard to be like, oh my gosh, this is happening, because you don't want this to happen to her. It turned off on me while I was talking. Rude. You don't want this to happen to her in any capacity. You want it to end on a great note, but you have no idea if it's gonna end on a great note, so you have to keep reading. Okay, just like thinking about this book kind of makes me emotional. Great book. Great book. It really stayed with me. Who knew a $5 book on my end would be so good? Okay, and then I kept my favorite one that I've recently read last. A lot of people have read this. This is 100% on BookTok. Everyone I know who's read this book has loved it. It's the Seven Husbands. I still can't speak. It is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. She has a lot of books out. Her most popular book that a lot of people say is the best one ever is Daisy Jones and the Six, but I've never read that book. I've read this book and I've read Malibu Rising, which, like, these two are connected. Malibu Rising was good. This one was great. Like, this one was great. It is about a famous movie star. Oh gosh, okay, her name is Evelyn Hugo. No one has heard from her for a really long time. Like, no press, nothing. No one has heard from her. And she comes out of the blue. She's much older now, and she says, I want to do an op-ed, or like, I want to do my own story. And every single magazine was like, yes, let's do it, yes, please. She goes to one specific magazine and one specific girl and says, I want her to do it. The magazine says, no, she's an intern, she just started here, she's not writing this piece. And she says, she's doing it or no one's doing it. So she does it. She goes to Evelyn's house and she interviews with Evelyn for, I don't even know how long, 2 weeks maybe. She sits there every day with Evelyn. Evelyn tells her life story, and you're reading it as she's telling her, right? And you hear about all the 7 husbands, every single one, and how, you know, they've all affected her life, why she did what she did, why she married 7 different men, and just how, like, how fame has affected her life. And then you also hear about, like, her personal life and so on and so forth. But it was beautiful. Like, it's not what you're thinking at all. It is about the 7 husbands, but it's not about the 7 husbands in any way, and you just have to trust me on that. This was probably the best book I've read this year. Like, her writing style is beautiful, it's great, but it's not amazing. Like, it's not the best I've ever read, but honestly, this is in my top 5 because of what this book is about. It also is, like, great representation. I can't name any other book that has the representation this book has. So, if there's a book you're gonna read out of any of the books I mentioned, please let it be this one. Please let it be this one. And if you like books that are connected, she has a lot of different books, and I know 3 of them for sure are connected. This, Malibu Rising, and then she has another book that's connected. I don't know. Taylor Jenkins Reid. R-E-I-D, not R-E-A-D. I hope you guys enjoyed going through the books with me. Like I said, these are specifically BookTok books, and honestly, they live up to the hype. These are some of my favorite ones that I've read this year. If you've read any of these, let me know in the comments below, because I would love to talk about literally any of these with you. I'll even, if you're nearby, I'll give you the book to read. Just return it to me, please. I don't know how to end this video, because it's like, we're talking about books. How do you end just talking about books? I have no idea. Okay, bye guys. See you in the next video.